Hey, we got a good one today. New people, returning people. Let's do some form checks. Hey guys, welcome to Form Check Friday. I'm Paul. Clint is right down there. You can't see him. Really excited about today. We've got a bunch of submissions. I think there's 7 total, so we're going to get right into it. Quick update on other stuff. I mentioned doing an additional YouTube video maybe Wednesday and ran into a ton of technical difficulties. So I've got half of it done and I'm going to have to shoot the rest of it this weekend. I'll have it up probably next Tuesday. And it's about my new training program, super minimalist experiment with like low volume, quick workouts. So I'm going to take you through the whole thing. I'm going to give you the template to download, so stay tuned for that. My own training has been mostly that, experimenting with the new routine, seeing what I can get done in the shortest amount of time possible. It may not work, but it's certainly fun, and it definitely has me missing the gym. I feel like I'm not doing enough, and it makes me want to push a little bit harder and get in there. So the motivation is returning, which was the whole point of coming up with a new program. Excited to walk you through that whole thing next week. In the meantime, we will get into your form checks. Thank you to everyone who submitted this week. And let's dive right in here because we got a lot to do today. Okay, Ready the Harpoon is back, my man. All right, I'm gonna move me over here. I gotta think about Instagram. Like, framing this so I can cut these down for Instagram. So just so you guys know, if you post on here, there's a good chance the clip might get used on Instagram. So be aware of that. All right. Hey, Paul, checking in with my deadlift. Since you asked to see it, here I am pulling 485 by 4. Oh, yeah, right. You're the guy who did 450 by 5 on the squat. Like, awesome. 485 by 4 on my last heavy deadlift this morning. I squatted 455 by 4 and 405 by 8. Oh man, God bless you. And don't feel too bad. Good. I'm cutting off light day squats and deadlifts at 2 sets to see what that does for me. Yeah, you got to play around with it. That program where you're, manipulating your light day. Sometimes you need more volume. Sometimes you need less volume. Programming is really simple once you understand the basic concepts of it, and it's really just looking at, okay, am I stuck or am I regressing? If you're stuck, you probably need more volume, so you can add a set on the light day, or you can add a second back off set on the heavy day. If you're regressing, meaning you're getting weaker each workout, then you probably need less volume or less stress. So you can cut a back off set. You can cut a back off set on your heavy day. You can cut a back off set on your light day. So it's really just a matter of playing around and seeing what works for what lifts, and it's fun. But that's the general principle. You have to look at each lift and go, why am I stuck or why am I regressing? And then what can I do about that? Once you understand that concept, programming becomes fairly straightforward. Early on, it was a mystery to me. Like, how do people come up with these programs, and what do I do if I get stuck? And it's pretty straightforward. Okay. Let's get in and take a look at your deadlift. I am excited to see this. 485 by 4. And let me kill this and kill my... Where's my little YouTube deactivator thing? I always forget to do that. Cool. That cleans it up. All right, I'm going to go over here and we'll kill the volume so I'm not distracted. Those look like strength co plates. strength co plates. Yes, best plates on the market. If you guys need new plates, or you should order them from the Strength Co. They are absolutely beautiful. My buddy Grant made them and just did a hell of a job with it. So they just fit so perfectly on the bar. There's like no slop. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And they're made in America, and he's a Marine, so you can feel good about the purchase. That's my plug for Grant. I don't get any money from that, but I love seeing them. Okay, let's go back and look at your first. Okay, so I'm going to watch a few of these and then we'll dig in here. Okay. So you can see the bar is swinging out a little bit away from you. So if you watch your chest when you start to pull, your back angle, you can see it kind of becomes a little bit more, very slightly more vertical right off the floor. And that means that you're lifting your chest. So you want to think about the deadlift, and I'm sure you, I mean, if you're pulling 45 by 4, you probably know this, but the idea is it's a push. We call it a pull, but it's really a push with the legs. So what gets it off the ground those first couple inches is you just pushing against the floor with your legs, almost like you're just doing a leg press, like you're sitting in a leg press machine, just pushing. So the first few inches off the ground, this goes up here, and this goes up here at pretty much the same rate. What we don't want is to see your chest go this way first, because if you lift your chest, the bar is going to swing off your legs. Instead, you want to think about pushing here. And for someone who has a tendency to break the bar off the floor with hip extension, meaning lifting their chest, opening up that hip angle, it helps to think about doing hip drive like you do on the squat, right? When you get to the bottom of the squat, you're thinking about pushing this area straight up like that. And it can help you to think about on the deadlift, hip driving off the floor, meaning focus on driving your butt up. And what you don't want to do is drive your butt up and drop your chest and change that angle. But what we're trying to do with you is overcorrect. So if we focus a little bit more on driving your ass up off the ground, that angle will probably stay consistent. In my experience, telling someone push with your ass, it doesn't cause this more horizontal back angle. It's just that those 2 points come up at the same time, which is what we want. Another cue people use in Olympic weightlifting is keep your chest out over the bar, right? Keep your chest over it, covering the bar, and that can help maintain this angle. But the goal here is maintain the angle so that as soon as you start pushing, the plates come off the ground and that angle doesn't change until the bar is closer to your knee, and then you start opening up the hip angle. So off the floor, we're using these big guys right here, right? So this is all knee extension. This angle doesn't open up yet. Once the bar gets closer to the knee, then you can start lifting your chest and finishing the rep. So focus more on hip drive, focus more on pushing your feet down into the floor, keeping your chest out over the bar, and that will prevent this swinging away, because when you lift your chest and the bar swings away, now the bar's in front of the middle of your foot. You've got extra leverage. It's going to make 485 feel like 505. Okay? So that's my main correction here. Let's take a look and watch the rest of them. So you can see it kind of, I mean, it's very subtle. Like overall, your pull is very good. You could just see it's like ever so slightly breaking contact with your shins. So not a whole lot to fix here. You have big ass legs, big quads, big hamstrings, right? I mean, you can see them. You want to use those. So the first few inches off the ground is using those legs to get it up, and then with knee extension, and then opening up the chest. So if I were standing right next to you, that's what I would be doing. I would just be cueing you. I'd slap you right on the low back, and I'd say drive your ass up off the floor. Do some hip drive. And it'll hopefully get rid of that little swing and make the pull a lot more efficient. The bar should never break contact with your shins or your legs at all. The whole way up, it should stay. So if you feel it shifting a little bit away, it's one of two things. It's both instances are lifting the chest, but it can be caused by weight distribution. So if your weight's on your toes, let me see how you set this up. You don't really look like you've got your weight on your toes. See if you rock back a little bit. Not really. So I'll just take you through the order. So from right here, when you put that bar on the ground, and I've talked about this a million times on the episodes, on previous episodes, but once you put the bar back on the ground, there's a few things you do before you set your back. So the first thing is you get your weight right. Okay, so if you put it down on the floor and you notice you're a little bit on your toes, the pressure on your foot is on your toes, the first thing you want to do is shift your weight back to your heels. So like 60% of the weight should be on your heels when you deadlift. It's the only lift where we make an adjustment and move the body weight back to the heels a little bit. And that's really to overcorrect the tendency of being on the toes. So we want middle, but a little bit back on the heels tends to produce a better result. So from this position, you put the bar down, you rock back on your heels a little bit, you pull the bar back to your shins, and then once you're set, then you go through the procedure of breathing, squeezing your chest up, pausing for a second, and then pulling. If your weight is on your toes when you pull, you'll also get that swing. Okay, so it could be just you have a very subtle error. So just make sure that you've got a little bit more weight than you want on your heels. And then from that position, after you set your back, you're just pushing straight down, trying to drive your butt up first, and you'll probably be good to go. So overall, these are great. Let me make sure you're doing a little pause there. Squeeze, pause, pull. Yeah, you got a lot of power in those legs. I mean, hell, you're squatting 455 by 5 or 4. You want to use that little, like if we watch your butt here. Oh, that was your last one. Let's go to another one. So if you set right now, if we watch your butt here, just like this little area right here, I'm suspecting you're going to see it very slightly move down as this moves up first. So let's watch that area when you start to pull. Yeah, I mean, it's very, very subtle. Let's see if when you get tired, you do it. Barely. So overall, very good. Just push with the legs. Try and make your butt move first, like just very slightly first, and keep that angle. And then you can start lifting your chest later. And you should feel it, as long as your weight's back on your heels a little bit, you should feel it stay right on the legs, and it'll be a much more efficient pull. All right, man. Love it. Thanks for posting, and we'll move on to the next guy. Let's see what else you got. Let's take a look at your press. Your bench, I'm sure, is fine, but maybe your press is messed up. Actually, if you hit 455 by 5, I want to see that. So we'll see if you corrected any of that. You didn't have much wrong with your squat. Okay, we're gonna move on. Max, Will, Mike. Okay. We had you last week. Thanks so much for all the comments and feedback. This week I backed off to 215 so I can work on my form and incorporate your comments. Lean over earlier, not forward. Shove the knees out. Pause at the top. Yeah, you were rushing from one rep to the next. Okay, so let's take a look and see Mike's form check here. All right, Mike, what do we got? Okay, so we're gonna lock out here, hopefully lock the knees, and a little soft. Okay, let's get a couple of these in the bag before I. Okay, better. Good, you're doing a much better job pausing between reps. Let's see here. And pausing at the bottom. Don't do that, okay? All right, and Mike, I remember you're very early into the process here. So, this is for where you started 2 weeks ago and where you are now, we're like night and day. So you're doing a great job. All right, let's dissect this a little bit, see if we can help. So again, I talked last week about having a very methodical walkout, okay? And you're getting there. But really, I want you to think about and practice this on all your light warm-ups, okay? You unrack the bar, you take one step back, you take a second step back, you make a little adjustment, and you're good. You don't want to do like a shuffle, okay? Because it's just extra work. You want that whole thing to be like a repeatable process. So you're kind of fidgeting a little bit. You're getting better, but okay. I want you to practice that. Okay, so let's see Toe angle. Toe angle looks pretty good. I think maybe this, I mean, camera angles are iffy, so this kind of looks a little bit too forward. Remember, we're looking for about 35, 40 degrees out. And make sure they're even. So look down and check, make sure they're even. But this toe looks a little bit too pointed, too forward. So you might need to turn that one out a little bit. Again, the camera angle could be playing tricks on me. So, all right. And then make sure before you go, right, these knees are not soft. Now, the knee sleeve's kind of hiding it, so maybe they're locked out, but you want to make sure the knees are locked so you can stand there with weight and not get tired. All right, so assuming we got all that, you're still taking too long to lean over, okay? So I'm guessing here, this angle looks too, the thigh angle looks forward. I feel like it needs to be out more, and the way that, and turning your toe out more, toes out makes the knees go out. Knees out is how you get depth, right? If your knees don't go out, your thighs are going to block you on the way down. So if you turn your toes out and then you shove your knees out as hard as you can, you're going to have more space. It's going to be easier to get depth. I don't think you're pushing your knees out hard enough. And this is a concept that takes, it's really easy to teach someone in person, right? Because I could walk up to you right here, and I've done this many times, and just with light weight, put my hands in between your knees and pull them out. And if I can pull them out 3 inches, which I guarantee you I could, you didn't shove them out hard enough. And that sensation of pulling them out, and then you feel that tension in your groin, that's what you're looking for. Most people don't shove their knees out hard enough. Most people don't lean over enough or shove their knees out hard enough. And it's one of these things where I hammer and hammer and hammer, and then eventually I yell at you. And your knees go out 2 more inches, and you're like, oh, okay, shove your knees out. So that's what I'm getting after here. You need to push your knees out as hard as you freaking can, okay? And you can push them out more than this. I can't see the other one, but the left knee needs to be pushed out more. And if you do that, you're going to be solid. Okay, so hip drive's good. Watch the head, all right? So let's watch the back of your neck here. You see how your head kicks back every time? I'm a stickler for head movement because head movement typically leads to lifting the chest early, although that was a very good rep. So this little kick you have, see your head in this perfect position right here? Just like that, you're looking down at the ground. As soon as you start to drive up, it's gonna kick back a little bit like that. Don't do that. Don't do that. It changes where the effort is from pushing with the hips and the posterior chain to trying to lift the chest. So you want to imagine that you've got like a tennis ball under your neck. And if you lift it at all, that tennis ball is going to fall. Just keep it tucked in the whole time, and I guarantee you will feel much better hip drive on the way up, okay? You're not lifting your chest that much. I mean, you're actually maintaining your back angle, but I want to nip that in the bud real quick. Okay, the big issue here is you're not leaning over enough soon enough, okay? So you're taking way too long to establish your back angle, right? So you're almost halfway down, maybe a little more than halfway down right here, and your back angle is like that. And let's find out where it is at the bottom, or as you start to drive up, okay? So notice, let me go back a little bit. So right out of the bottom, you're a little bit more leaned over. It's not much, but you want this back angle, okay, on the way down. By the halfway point, you want to be as leaned over as you're ever going to be by the time you're halfway down in the squat. So let's look at this again, and I'll try and hit it on the halfway point. Like right there, chest, this needs to be down more. Okay, you need to be more like this. Okay, than like this. And it's just, you just got to dive for you just got to commit to it once or twice, and then you'll feel it. Just put your nipples on the ground. Touch your sternum to the floor right there. Okay, sternum goes right there, right away. As soon as you can, you dive bomb the chest and get the knees out of the way, and then you're set. Then you're as leaned over as you ever need to be, and all you have to do is maintain that angle on the way up. But overall, man, like, that was a much better one. That one you leaned over appropriately. Yeah, the more you lean over, keep this in mind, right? The more you lean over, the more your hips stretch back, right? As your chest goes down, your hips go back this way as you get a more horizontal back angle. And that stretches out all this muscle mass, those rubber bands and the adductors. That's what we're bouncing off of. So the more horizontal you can get while still keeping the bar over the middle of your foot, but the more you can shove your ass back, the more of a bounce you're going to get out of the bottom. So let's take a look at your bounce and see how bouncy it is. I know you pause on this one. Let's see that spring out of the bottom. Yeah, it's subtle. It's like a pause, and then, so this transition from going down to going up is like a pause and then a burst of effort, right? I want that to be a rebound. I don't want it to be that smooth going down. Excuse me. Like perfect, like smooth and then up. Just like perfect cadence, even cadence the whole time. What I want is, here's your butt. Slow, 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 pop. Right? So it speeds up about 2 inches above the bottom, goes into the bottom, and then rebounds out. You got to think about trying to spring out of the bottom. Like if you're jumping on a trampoline, you come down, you push into the trampoline, and you spring off of it, right? So control it all the way down so you can make sure you're not shifting the weight forward or backwards. And then when you know you're right above the target, let it go. Let it drop and catch that bounce out of the bottom, and you'll get a lot more pop on the way up. This is something that takes a long time to feel. Okay, so one of the things that you can practice if you want to, even though it's pretty early for you, are bounced pause squats, which I talk about all the time. If you go to hornstrength.com/videos and you look up legs bounce pause squats, right, you'll see me in my garage doing a bounce pause squat. And you do this with the empty bar, and you do this with your first warm-up set with weight. So very light, take it down. The instructions are down here in the description. And then you just bounce it a couple times so you can feel the cadence of that rebound. So you pause one and then bounce, 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 and you catch the last one and come back up. Great. I still do this every time I squat for the first set with an empty bar and like the first warm-up weight. And it just reminds me of that feeling, that sensation of speeding up and popping out of the bottom. So something to work on. And other than that, man, I think it looks pretty good. Keep your head down, get the knees out harder, and then work on feeling a more dynamic, springy bounce out of the bottom. Okay? And you'll be good to go, man. Let's see a deadlift, right? We're early in the process with you, so let's see if we can fix any deadlift problems next week. Okay? Thank you for submitting, my man, and we will see you soon. Let's keep the party going. Doctor, sorry to disappoint, but I'm not a doctor, and it gets worse. I'm a lawyer. Oh, man. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for the update. All right. Based on your feedback, my focus this week was hip drive. Here's a warm-up set where I tried to overdo the hip drive, like you said. Okay, so we talked about doing more hip drive, like exaggerating the hip drive, doing too much hip drive in an effort to overcompensate and try and even it out. So we'll see how that worked. And in case you have time to watch a second video, no worries. Here's a top set. The hip drive is not as pronounced here. Okay, so let's see the hip drive pronounced here. All right, so this hip drive was your homework, man. Like exaggerated hip drive. Okay. All right, we've got the dreaded scoop here. Okay, so this is exactly what I was just talking about with the last guy, except yours is worse. Okay, let's watch again, and I want to see. All right, so you've got the. Okay, the good news is you're not lifting your chest, so A+ for that. You are leading with your hips, and you are keeping your back angle consistent all the way up. Hips and shoulders are raising at the same time. So excellent work there. Now we got to dial this in. And so, all right, you're going to notice when I talk about the scoop, the dreaded hip scoop, what we want with the hips are they go down and they bounce straight up. So it's like this. The hips are straight up and down. The scoop is hips go back and up. So you go down and then the hips go back in this like circular scooping motion. And that comes from a very specific error. And let's see if you do this. Yeah. What happens is you're here, your knees are out. As you get to the bottom, the knees are gonna start, you're gonna slack that tension on the adductors. The knees are gonna come in. So the knees will cave, and then you push back and up instead of keeping the knees out and just driving the hips straight up and down. So this is all a byproduct of knee cave. All right. So if we watch your knee here and you see how out it is, which is good, then it scoots in, your head kicks back, your back goes soft here, and your elbows shoot up like that. So there's a lot of things going on here that we gotta fix. So you've lost the tension, you've lost the arch here. So the back went soft. As the knees slacked, the hips pushed back, you probably leaned over a little more. So the bar rolled up on your neck, so you had to kick your neck back. And you jacked your elbows up. Now let me see what's happening with your elbows on the way down. So see right there, you just did something really good, which is you tightened up this upper back. Chest up, elbows are in a decent position here. Okay, but watch how high they go. So now you're gonna lean over and you're gonna dump. Okay, so that's part of the problem right there. You take it out, chest up, right? So the first thing is you get under the bar, arch your upper back, and then lift your elbows as high as they'll go, which isn't much as long as you keep the chest up. So it's chest up, elbows up, chin tucked. Chest up, elbows up, chin tucked, and then you unrack it. Okay? So you're here, under the bar, chest up, elbows up, chin tucked, stand up. All right? Then everything's tight and you've got that nice arch in your upper back, which the goal is to maintain that the entire time. All right. So the error that a lot of people make and that you're making is as soon as you start the rep and you're here, all I want is for this segment here, you just lean over. You don't change any of the chest doesn't collapse, the chin doesn't lift, and the elbows don't jack up like that. This is just perfectly tight and you just hinge over at the waist. The mistake you're making is you got this beautiful, nice start position, and as soon as you think about squatting, you collapse your chest. Like when you start to lean over, right? You let go of this arch and you jack your elbows up. So the chest collapses and the elbows come up higher than they could if you kept your chest up. Because if my chest is up, my elbow can only go that high, right? If I round my chest, I can jack my elbows up real high. So as soon as you're starting, you're giving up all those things that you set initially, okay? This rounds and then the elbows come up. Now the bar's rolling up on your neck, which makes the back go soft, and it also makes you kick your head back. So tight upper back position is the key here. You set that, and then you just hold it for the whole rep, just like a deadlift. You set your back tight, and then you just try and hold it tight and flat as you pick the weight up off the ground. All right. If you let your back go soft during a deadlift, it becomes less efficient. Okay. So all of the problems that are coming after this, the scoop, like look how high your elbows are right now. I mean, they're like perpendicular to the floor, your head kicked back, the bar's up on your neck, and this is soft. And the knees caved in a little bit. Not that bad though. Okay, so let's watch again from the top. Let's see if you reset. Yeah, see, you reset right there. That was beautiful, right? Watch your upper back. Boom. You did it perfectly. And notice the angle of your elbow is much more, it's less horizontal, right? Your elbows are at a nice angle. But as soon as you start, you're going to let all this go. And your head's in the right position, chin's tucked, chest is up, elbows are down, but up as much as they can be with that chest. This is perfect. So all you have to do is maintain that and just focus on this segment from here to here. This whole segment, nothing changes, nothing deforms, nothing happens. You just hinge over at the waist like this. Okay, but you're still, when you're at the bottom of the rep, your upper body should look exactly like this, just at a more horizontal angle, right? So if we go to the bottom, like watch how quickly you give that up. Boom, right there. Okay? The elbows are now super high, chest is collapsed. Okay, so now we're at the bottom, and it should mirror what we saw at the top, and it doesn't, because the elbows are like this, the upper back's soft, and the head's about to kick back like that. So that's the homework I want to give you. And this needs to come out more, okay? Knee needs to come out more and stay out. So all of this scooping thing, this up and back motion, is because you dump the bar up higher on your neck as soon as you started, okay? So we got to fix that. So this is a perfect time, and I think I told you to try this before, but this is exactly why I like pause squats, to fix this. Because if you can get to the bottom and still have that perfect upper back position that you had at the top, all of these problems are going to go away, okay? So your homework this time is, and I want to see this next time. So let me actually just look at your heavy set, because maybe this will be even more exaggerated. And then I'll give you your homework assignment. All right. Let's see if you set your back. Yep, there we go. That's actually a little bit better. Less scooping. Just keep that chin tucked. Lifting the chest a little soon on that one. Okay, this is actually a much better set for you. And again, it's probably because of the weight. You're struggling against that weight, so you have to. So the errors are a lot less exaggerated here, which is good. The scooping is much less. Let's watch another one real quick. See how you set the back. Elbows aren't as high. Okay. All right. I like this set better. So I want you, next time we do these, I want to see your pause squats. You can post a heavy set if you want, but I want to see your pause squats. And like I told the last guy, HORNSTRENGTH.com/videos, go down to legs, go down to the pause squat. Okay. And all the instructions for how to do this are down here in the description. I wrote it all out for you. But you're going to go to the bottom. You're going to do this with the empty bar, and you're going to do this with your first set with weight, 95, 135, whatever. You're going to take it down for 3 seconds, and you're going to, it says right here, the questions you're going to pause and just sit there for 3 seconds. And you're going to ask yourself, is my weight balanced over the middle of my foot? Are my knees as shoved out as they could be, or could I push them out more? And for you, the most important one is the third question. Is my upper back arched and tight? Or did I let it round? Did I let it cave in? If you get to the bottom and you go through that checklist and you realize that your chest, that you let it collapse, fix it. You have 3 seconds. Fix it. Oh, it's an empty bar, right? Fix it. Feel it. Oh, that's what I could lift it up 2 inches. I must have let it go. And then come back up. And then do the next rep and challenge yourself to go right down to the pause without having to make any adjustments. You get down there, you try and arch up harder, and you can't because you're fully arched. And just repeat that until you drill it. Okay, so your goal is at the bottom. You can ignore my elbows being so high because I have very high elbows when I squat, and I've been trying to fix it, but I think that's just my shoulder flexibility issues. But in your case, your elbows will be down a little bit more. But the important thing here is this upper back position. Okay, you see that arch? My head's down. Okay, and this, see those wrinkles in my shirt right there? I didn't let that go at any point. It's the same as, let's see if I zoom out here. If we go back to the top, let's see if I can play this. Right, that upper back is as tight as it is up here. Okay, so that same arch you're gonna see at the bottom and at the top. See, still there. Okay, that's what I want. That's what you're looking for. Okay, so practice that with pause squats. Empty bar, first set with weight, 3 seconds. Read the description, and do that, and then insist that as you go up in weight, you don't let that collapse. So you're going to be a little bit more upright at the bottom, but your upper back is going to be real tight with the knees jacked out. You fix that, you're golden, man, because you fixed the back angle problem where you were lifting your chest too soon. So excellent work on that. But I want to see next time a set of your pause squats with weight. So maybe 95 pounds. What do you got on there? 185. It was 220, 230. You get 230 on there. Okay, so with maybe like either 95 or 135, whatever you can do clean. I want to see a set of those next week, and I want to make sure that your bottom position is perfect before we start moving on. Okay, good work, man. Work on it, and let's see that next week. And eventually, I want to see your deadlift if I haven't already. Okay, let's move on, guys. We'll keep going. All right. Posting this for my wife. Okay, cool. Form check on squat. This is sets 2 and 3. We will get her lifting shoes. Okay. Let me know if the video angle is okay. We have a tight space. Tried to make the best of it. Is this a newcomer? Okay. Oh, she's got, oh boy. Okay. She's got plates under her heels. All right. We'll just watch a couple of these. Okay, so there's a lot going on with this that we got to deal with. First of all, she's doing a high bar squat. Okay, so bar is way too high up on her back. We want that bar over the posterior deltoids down here. Okay, so I'll give you a link to a video that's gonna explain all this if you haven't seen it, but this is a high bar squat. So because it's too high up on her back, everything that I tell you most of the things that I correct are gonna go away once she moves the bar down lower. She's gonna be too upright because the bar's too high up on her back. Once you move it down here over the posterior deltoids, she will naturally lean over more, okay? But I'll give you some more pointers in the meantime. Toes are too pointed basically straight ahead, okay? So toe angle is like this, and we need 35 to 40 degrees. Toes out makes knees go out. Knees out is how you get depth. So if you don't shove your knees out, your thighs are gonna smash into your belly, and you're gonna feel like you're at the bottom when you're not. So she needs to probably, the camera angle might be playing tricks on me here, but just make sure that her heels are shoulder width, okay? So heels on the outsides of the shoulders, okay? So she probably needs to go a little bit wider, and she definitely needs to turn her toes out more. So 35, 40 degrees out, and then jack her knees out as hard as she can. Okay? So I'm going to go back to the other one because it was a better angle for me. But yeah, her feet are way too close together. So, and then, yeah, so her legs are like straight ahead. Now she's female, she doesn't have a big gut, so she can still get to depth. But without shoving the knees out, she's not going to stretch out her groin muscles, which is what's going to create that stretch reflex. She's just flexible enough to go down and come back up, but she's not going to get much of a bounce. Additionally, eyes and chin, she's looking straight ahead like this, maybe slightly up, right? She needs to be looking down at the floor. So we want a neutral cervical spine. So head down, eyes about, for her, 2 or 3 feet in front of her on the ground, chin tucked. She's holding a tennis ball the whole time, looking down the whole time. All right, now coming up out of the bottom, she's probably not going to drive her butt up. So what I'm looking for here is this moves first, not this. I don't want to see her chest lift. I want to see her drive her ass up because that's where all the power is. Now she's doing a high bar squat. So if she's not as leaned over as she needs to be, it's going to be harder to hip drive. So I'm imagining that she's just going to drive her chest straight up and not use her hips at all. Hips are where all the power is. So let's see what happens. If we watch her chest. Yeah. Head back, she's just driving her chest straight up. A little bit of hip drive on that one because it's getting hard. So you see what happens when it gets tough is people naturally try and use their hips. But this head thing, it's so difficult to drive your butt up if you're looking up like this, because when you lift your chin, you lift your chest. When you lift your chest, you kill your hip drive. If she looks down at the ground and moves that bar down to the right place so she's more horizontal, she's going to have much more access to the posterior chain. Right now, she's just doing, this is what we call an uncoached squat. If you tell someone, just go put a bar on your back, squat down and stand back up, and that's all you say, this is what they'll do, right? They'll put it up on their traps because it feels like it goes there. They'll squat down, they'll keep their back vertical, and they'll just stand straight up. And it's all quads. She's doing all the work here is quads. And that's kind of what people are used to doing, right? Like if you are like ride a bike, you're just going to use all your quads. But there's a whole bunch of muscle mass in the hamstrings, the glutes, the adductors, the groin muscles. All those big muscles in the posterior chain are there to help you. And if you learn how to use them, the quads are coming along for the ride no matter what, right? But if we can incorporate more of the posterior chain, you're going to lift a hell of a lot more weight because you got more muscle working at the same time. And the way that we do that is she's got to get more leaned over. She's got to get the knees out harder, the head down, because when she puts the bar down here, that was a bad line, but across the posterior delts here, and her back angle is more like this, right? So hips go back this way. She's more leaned over. This stretches out. The groin stretches out. The knees are shoved out. Her stance is a little wider. Now we're tapping into the glutes, the hamstrings, the adductors, and she's going to be able to drive up a lot more weight, okay? So that's the reason that we want the low bar squat is it works more muscle mass. And if you're going to spend the time to get under the bar and bust your ass, why would you do a version of the squat that uses less muscle mass? Let's use the version that works as much as muscle mass as we can at the same time, right? Okay, so if I know I saw you have the Starting Strength app. I'm assuming that you've seen the videos. If you haven't, I'm going to direct you to them. So if you come to hornstrength.com/videos and you go to the Big Lifts exercise library, you will see how to squat. And there is 2 videos here. So this video is just me demoing the squat with no context or just a demo. This video from the guys at Starting Strength, learning how to squat, is narrated by Rip and walks you through every detail on foot position, bar position, leaning over, shoving the knees out, all that stuff. So watch this video, like pay close attention to it. And then I've also taken the time to write all of the instructions and tips that I typically, to deal with problems I typically encounter. So read through that and have her take her best whack at that, okay? At mimicking that version of the squat. And it starts with getting the bar in the right place. Sorry, my dog is having a nightmare right now. Okay, and then post another video next week and let's take a look and let's see what this looks like when she tries to, do it the correct way. Again, a lot of the problems I'm talking about are just going to resolve themselves when she puts the bar in the right place. Also, get lifting shoes as soon as you can. Obviously, you know that, but it's going to make a huge difference. So get her a pair of lifting shoes as soon as possible. And I'm excited to start this process. She's a rookie, and it's great that she's getting under the bar. And once she feels the strength and power that she has when she starts to tap into the posterior chain, she's going to be hopefully very surprised at how strong she feels. So thank you for submitting, and throw another one up next week or whenever you think she's fixed it, and we'll keep going until we get it dialed in. All right, thanks for submitting, and we'll see you soon. Jeepnsteak, my man, is back. Hey, Paul. Back from a short layoff. The paused and bounce squats are still helping. Hip drove feels and looks better for most reps. I do notice some heel and toe lifting up as I'm driving the weight up. Heel and toe. It's usually one or the other, but we'll see. Any recommendations to stay balanced? 305 by 5. This is light for you. I know that. Okay, I'm looking at your heels to see if I can see what you're talking about. Oh, okay. Yeah, your feet are moving. I wonder, I mean, those mats are probably just normal stall mats, so I'm assuming you don't have like some orthotic in your shoe or something that's squishy. Let's try again. I mean, your squats are great, man, so I I am not offering a lot here. I mean, you're pushing back and up a little bit. So I'm wondering if your knees are caving in slightly. That's usually what causes the back, the shifting of the hips back. I mean, you might just be overthinking this, man. Your head's down, your knees are out, you're driving your ass up. It's shooting back a tiny bit. Yeah, I don't really have a lot for you here. I don't know. I'm not seeing. Normally, if we're talking about heel lift, I'm going to actually see your heels lift up off the ground. I'm seeing a little bit of shifting around in between reps. Unless that mat you've got him on is like very squishy. These look fine to me. This could just be like a mental thing for you. Unless, I wonder if the bar's rolling up a little bit. You're doing a little bit of tightening on the way down. If you watch your upper back, yeah, it's tight there. And then it kind of, as you get to the bottom, it kind of relaxes a little bit. It's minor. But if we watch your elbows and how they travel forward a little bit, I think what I would tell you to do is focus on keeping your knees forward when you drive up. the knees are going to shoot back a little bit naturally anyway when you start to drive up, but you don't want them to shoot back a lot because that means you're pushing your hips back and up instead of just up. And it usually means your back angle is becoming a little bit too horizontal, but yours isn't. So, but mentally, in terms of like trying to keep the balance on your foot, if as you drive up out of the bottom, you think about keeping your chest up, because you're doing hip drive fine, so don't worry about that. Think about not dropping your chest at all. Just keep the chest up and keep the knees forward. Try not to, like, chest up, knees forward. Don't let them shoot back so much. Now, yours aren't really shooting back that much, but if you just keep your focus on knees out, forward and out, and chest up. Don't lift it, but keep it up as you drive up. It may help to even out the balance on your foot. But honestly, man, like, there's nothing wrong with this. Like, these are great squats. I think you might just be overanalyzing this. I don't see your feet lifting up, toes lifting up at all. I mean, I see you shifting back a little bit. So I would say just think about keeping the knees forward and the chest up as you drive up. You don't have to think so much about hip drive because you sort of got that. So I would switch to just a focus on knees forward and chest up as you drive up, and that'll probably even out whatever minor thing you're feeling. But honestly, like, I think you just got to get more weight on the bar and, like, don't let this... Like, don't overanalyze this too much. I kind of ranted about this last week where, letting perfect be the enemy of good. Like, these are fine. Go up and wait. You'll figure it out as you go. Even as you move up and weight, you're going to be forced to figure out what feels more efficient, and you're going to be able to contrast that from one rep to another rep when it really matters. When you can feel, when the weight's heavy enough, you can feel the difference between doing it right and doing it wrong. And then you can register that, oh God, that I felt like I was on my toes a little bit and it felt harder. That one, I felt like I stayed back on my heels a little bit more and it felt easier. And so this is, in your case, I would not stop and try and stay at this weight. Not that you're doing this, but I'm just adding this. Like, don't do that. Don't hold yourself back because of like a minor whatever you're feeling here, because it's probably just you overthinking it. Just keep going because your form is fantastic. So that's my advice. It's not a whole lot, but you don't need it. You're doing great. So let's see 315. I feel like I'm losing track of your weights here, but I don't know what you were lifting last time, but I want these to be heavier. I want to see, if I haven't seen 315, we need to see that soon, because you need to be at 405. Like, you should be without question. So, hope that helps. Not a ton to fix there. So you're doing a good job. Just don't give yourself a little break mentally and just do it. Like, you know how to squat. You know what you're doing. So just do it. Just kind of clear. You might need to think less. Just kind of clear your head and just go. And if you get all 5 and they look like that, what I just saw, then just go up and wait and keep going until you run into like a real problem. All right, man. Welcome back. Work on it. And if we haven't seen another lift, let's take a look at your deadlift or something like that. And I can't remember who posted what, but let's take a look. Okay. Dick, back. So my homework was getting leaned over and staying in the hips. Knee cave was still there, but I'm ignoring this for now. Okay. I'm really struggling with leaning over when the weights get above 150K. It feels like I'm going to tweak my back, which is what was keeping me more vertical on the descent. I had a shocker of a workout last week and couldn't do any reps on my heavy squat nor the light deadlift during the same session, hence I didn't post. I was determined not to fail on heavy again, but was terrified going into this lift. So here's 170 by 5. Proud I've been managed. I managed even if the form is off, but please tear it up so I can do better. Okay. Not sure what happened where you couldn't get any reps on that. That's mental. going from, you know, doing 5 to doing 4 or 3 that's one thing, but going from 5 to 0 is like something's up. You either put the wrong weight on the bar, which happens more than you think, or you just mentally off that day. Okay, so let's see. We're looking at leaning over more. Let's see. Oh, dude. Okay. All right. You are in your head, my man. Yeah. All right, Dick. Oof. The knee cave is there. Well, I mean, look, you got it, right? So you got in and you got reps done, which is good. But, all right, this is too heavy for you. And it's just going to get shittier from here if you just keep going up. Like, you got that, technically. If you were in my gym, I would not let you go up in weight. I would back you off. I would take 10 to 20% off the bar, and I would fix that stuff, because you're just embedding bad movement patterns. Like the knees are caving, but like I don't care. Which, like, I get it, because you had the workout that was terrible last time and you just wanted to go in and do it. But you're worried about tweaking your back, right? Well, squatting, I mean, to be fair, you can tweak your back on a perfect rep. So, you know, take this for what it's worth, but you're far more likely to injure yourself or jack your knees up just going in and gutting out a set with bad form because you just wanted to get it done. And you're embedding bad movement patterns, which are harder to break, and you're not hitting the muscles that you need to hit. So it's like there are times to just gut it out and go up and not worry about nitpicking, like the last guy who's like overthinking probably a very, very good squat. In your case, you've got to fix these problems, and you've got to find a weight where you can fix them, because maybe you'll get to like 180K, and then you're just, the form, even if you're like, the form will prevent you from going higher because you're just not doing the movement correctly. So we got to go back to a weight where you can squat it perfectly. And we got to go up from there and not let your form deteriorate. So you know what the problems are, right? You're not leaning over fast enough. Like you're staying too vertical. The moment you start squatting, it's like the knees are caving in. I mean, look at the mental battle you're having right now. I mean, that was all knees there. And then they shoot in, and then you're lifting your chest. Like, that's how you're going to tweak your back, by the way, is trying to maintain a too vertical back angle, right? Leaning over and then immediately lifting your chest and putting all that stress of opening up your hips too early on the lumbar spine. Okay. That puts way more stress on that area and smokes those spinal erectors than actually leaning over more and maintaining that angle higher into the rep. Okay. So my advice for this is like, we got to fix this. We got to go back, and we got to get a perfect set at whatever weight you can do. So, I would go back and I would do ascending sets of 5. So start with the bar, and then, 60 kilos, I'm trying to do this to the kilos, start at 60 kilos, do 5. If they're perfect, make the next jump. And just keep going up until you find the limit, until you see a set that's not perfect. and then go back to the one before it and start there. Okay. So I'm going to go into pounds here, but you should be, you know, maybe go down to 225 and show the perfect and do them paused. Well, maybe not that light. Initially, you need to be doing pause squats. I don't know if you mentioned doing that, but the bread and butter for you is going to be pause squats because the pause squats require that you be in this bottom position with everything correct, right? It requires you to be here with your chest arched up, the opposite of this, and your knees out real hard and not caved in like they are. So you've got that position has to be home. That has to be like drilled into you. Like if you're at the bottom of the squat, you know exactly what it feels like. And so if you do this, you know, like that ain't right. And so I got to fix that. There's two, you know, and if I can't fix it, I got to take weight off the bar, because in the long run, this is going to bite you in the ass. You're just going to hit a wall and you're going to get hurt and you're going to get frustrated and you're going to quit. So you've got to back up to a weight that you can do perfectly within reason, you know, and work back up. So I don't know what program you're running, but I would make sure that you're doing pause squats as warm-ups for this with the empty bar and the first set with weight. And then I might have a day where you're just doing pause squats. So if you have a heavy day and a light day squat, I would make your light day squat all pause squats. So maybe like 3 sets of 5 at 70% of your top set of 5. See if you might have to start 60 until you can get the position. And just, you need to hammer that feeling of the bottom position, and then coming out of that bottom position and not letting the knees cave and not lifting the chest. So this is you're gonna have to take a step back on these. I'm sorry, you did tell me to rip you up for this one, but you know, I'm happy that you got through it, but I wouldn't have done it. I would have found a weight. So I want you to, the next set I want to see from you is, I want to see a set of your heaviest pause squats with good form. And I want to see your heaviest regular squats where you think you got it, where you think you nailed the form, right? So, you know, if you're like, hey, my knees are caving in the whole time, but whatever, like, don't post that. What am I going to tell you? Shove your knees out, right? Like, if you look at it, you go, I know exactly what he's going to say is wrong with this, then like, we don't need to see this. I want to see the one where you think, okay, I got it. This is as good. This is like, I nailed this. There's not, what's he going to say? That's the set I want to see. And I want you to find that weight where you can do it as heavy as you can perfectly. And then we will build from there. And that way I can, as we go up, I can nitpick and I can be like, hey, this is going back to the old way. Don't do that. Right. And we can nip little things in the bud as they occur. But with this, it's like, dude, you got to go back and just get it right. And then we can go from there. Okay. So let's do that. Work on your pause squats, add a light day of pause squats, and show me your heaviest pause squats for a set and your heaviest regular squats where you think you got it, where you're way more leaned over, where your knees are out, where they're not caving in, where your head's down, where your upper back is tight at the bottom. That upper back position is key in the pause squat. When you're at the bottom, pausing, counting to 3, that upper back is arched. And if it's not, those 3 seconds are your chance to arch it. Okay? All right. Got to move on. You know what to do. Love you, buddy. And let's keep going. We're going to get back to pre-vacation perfect squats. All right. Last one. Cool. Hey, Paul. This is my first time posting. Hope I made the cut. I'm wondering if my press is following the starting strength standards. The hip bounce and layback movement have been a bit challenging for me to understand. Here I'm doing 92.5 kilos for 5 singles. All right. Let's see. We got 2 videos. So let's take a look. Whoa, okay, you didn't walk that out. Wait, oh, you're just doing two. Wait, that was only one. Okay, oh, 2 singles. Oh, I get it. I'm sorry. I thought you were doing a set of 2. So you sent me 1 rep. Okay, there's a lot to coach with 1 rep. And it's like a limit rep. All right. So I don't think I've seen you before, which is cool. Welcome. Happy to have you here. You got to give me like a set, because like, I mean, I'll rip those apart in a second and show you what's up. But like next time, give me a few reps so I can watch and actually correct your form. So the first thing is walk the damn bar out of the rack. Okay. Don't stand up and press like right up against the rack. You're going to stand up and you're going to take 2 steps back and you're going to get set. Okay. So that's thing number 1, is you need to step back from the rack, and then you need to get set before you go. So if you notice, you're unracking it and just going, right? It's like boom, press. Okay. So you're still loose, right? Because the act of unracking it, you can get as tight as you want, and then you take the weight out and some stuff's going to get loose. And if you go when things are loose, like your knees, which is what we're going to talk about in a second, it's just sloppy. So unrack the bar, take 2 steps back, reestablish the start position, get yourself set, make sure your knees are locked, your abs are tight, your wrists are straight, elbows are up and in, you're looking straight ahead, big breath, tight. Okay, then you go. And then you come back down and you do the same thing. This is way too, you're amped up because you're doing a single, so I get it. But this needs to be a little bit more, it's going to be sloppy if you rush like this. So aside from that, so the wrists look good, elbows look good, grip looks good. So starting position in the upper body looks pretty good. You got soft knees here, and this is what I'm talking about with not walking it out and then just rushing into the first rep. Your knees are soft, so you're doing a knee kick, which means you are basically using your quads to help you push up. Overall, for what you're showing me here with like a limit, like 1 rep, you've definitely got, that was a better one. Yeah, you've definitely got the press 2.0 pattern down. So like it is tricky for sure. Like that's probably the hardest thing to teach someone, is that, aside from the power clean, is that timing, the rhythm of the hip motion and the press. So you've got that, you get it. What's going to make, you're getting back, you're bouncing it, you're getting underneath it, like great. What you need to do is slow it down, take your time, right? Because if the start position's wrong, the whole thing's going to be wrong. And this applies to every exercise, every lift you do, every rep. If you rush, you're not taking time to establish that proper start position. It's going to be sloppy. So walk it out of the rack, take a moment, lock your knees. Make sure your knees are locked. There's no knee bend in the press. If the knees are soft, you're doing a push press, which means you're using your legs to help you. And then we don't know how much your delts and pecs are doing and how much your legs are doing. Okay. So in order for this to be quantifiable and we can compare one session to the next, you have to take the legs out of it. So the knees have to be locked, like you're flexing your quads. All right. So unrack it, step back, take the time, make sure your knees are locked and tight. Everything's tight, right? Get used to standing there with weight in your hand and not panicking. And I say this about the squat all the time. You need to be able to stand there with weight locked out tight and not freak out, right? Because if you're doing a set of 5, you want that little break between reps 4 and 5 to kind of recompose yourself. If you just walk it out and go, it's just going to be sloppy because you're rushing and you're just like fired up about doing the rep. And then it's going to get sloppier and sloppier. So fix those things, walk it out, keep the knees tight, take another pause, take a little bit more time before you go. And then show me a set of 5, okay? Or at least 3 where I can watch from one rep to the next, how you reset in between reps, how you retighten. Do you retighten, or do you just go from one thing to the next and then it devolves and gets sloppier and sloppier? Like, I want to see all those things. It's very hard to coach someone doing like a limit 1 rep attempt. You know, I know this is 5 singles or whatever, but it's not as useful in terms of me helping you with your form, right? Because the weight is so heavy, like I've got to let a lot of things slide. It's like, you just, okay, like, you know, yeah, that was a little off, but he's grinding out a really heavy rep. What I want to do is help you fix your pretty heavy sets so that we can, you know, it's light enough where we can make corrections. And then when you have to grind out like your heaviest rep, at least you have, you know, the movement pattern, you've embedded it with perfect practice. And then you go into your heavier one, and those natural errors that we'll see with a really heavy weight are going to be less pronounced than they would be if you were just like practicing wrong the whole time. Okay. So happy to help you again with this, but I want to see a set and I want to see you walk it out. All right. Thank you for posting. Welcome to the channel. I don't think we've seen you before. If we have, I apologize. We did it again, 7 form checks in just over an hour. So awesome. I had a great time. I hope you guys learned a lot, and stay tuned for a video coming out next week, Tuesday-ish, about my new program. And again, I'm going to give you a template for it if you want to follow along with it. I don't know if it's going to work, but we'll see. And I'll see you guys on the forums. If you have questions about anything, leave comments over on Reddit or YouTube, whatever. Thank you as always for participating in this with me. And I love it. So, and to all of you who I just like, you know, ream today, know that it comes from a good place. And I'm in this with you. I want to help you get through these issues that you're having and get to a place where you're really excited about your lifting, because, you know, that makes me happy to see you guys start with like shit form and then get to a place where you're, you know, it looks great and the weights are moving up and you're happy with it. Like, that is super rewarding to me. So, thanks for being a part of it as always. And I will see you guys next week.